Hello guys, welcome back to X Live. I'm Jack Nshimiyimana, product designer at Exus. I'm with...
My name is Sharon. I'm a product designer at BK.
Alright, so in this episode we're going to be asking Sharon a few questions about product design. By the end of the video you'll learn a thing or two from her. So let's get started. You can start by telling us about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so like I said, my name is Sharon and I've been in BK for almost 2 years now.
Okay.
So I'm a product designer, I do designs there. I do software engineering as well in school.
Okay.
About to graduate though, so yeah.
Alright, that's perfect. So yeah, thank you very much. So can you tell us a bit about your product design journey from the point you started up to where you are now?
I started off as a dev, but on the side I used to love art.
Okay.
It takes me back when high school. When
A quick one, do you still code or you just switch to product design completely?
I still code, but I mostly do front end.
Okay.
But yeah, I do back end as well, but then it's not as easy, you know. I'm not as passionate in that, but I do it because of school. We do
Okay.
school projects and stuff, so
Okay.
yeah, try to improvise. So the journey has not been easy. I mean, because you feel like you want to do so many things, and it's software development, so design is part of it, but there are also other things, you know, you get to do and stuff. So I used to code. I did join Andela, but I stopped in the Stacker program because they laid us off.
Okay.
So there is that part as well. But I used to volunteer, you know, when I'm working with a team, I would volunteer to do the prototypes and stuff. And then, you know, I was like, yeah, coding is cool and all, but I'm really passionate about, you know, designing and that feeling you get when your colleagues are, you know, using your designs and stuff. So you're like, cool. Yeah, how about I do this full time? So I did get a job in a company called HU Tech as a designer.
HU Tech.
Yeah.
Actually, I've been there.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've been there like for 1 year.
Yeah, so I was there as a designer, and then, you know, like sometimes you start somewhere, but you feel like you want to grow more.
Okay.
And then that's when I tried out Bika, and here we are. And then, yeah.
All right, perfect. So I think BK is one of the biggest companies you can work in Rwanda. So since you had a great journey, what are the challenges you faced and how did you overcome them in your product design journey?
Okay, so some of the journeys I did face when I was working for other people, sometimes freelance, sometimes, you know, our work was, when it's a small company, like you're working a small group of people, sometimes you get to work on things that are not related to design, right? Because you feel like...
What do you mean?
So when a task would come in, and then you see how in a big company we have POs, we have people who are responsible for everything, gathering requirements. When you're working in a small company, you expected to do all of that. Like you're a BA, you're a business analyst, and you're a PO, and then you also get to design and stuff. And then there was an incident where my boss at that time had this idea from another company. So they were like, we have this idea, but we want you to develop, you know, we want a website. And it was just a rough idea. It was too raw. And then he was like, can you work on a business model? I was like, wait, hold up. Okay, interesting. So yeah, I mean, you just have to improvise. You learn from the job. But I feel like that time I wasn't, you know, focusing on what I do best. And I would just do whatever comes my way because, you know, you just have to get things done. But so that now when I look back, I'm like, now I can get to focus on things that I love doing, and you get to grow in other areas, but it's still on the right path, and you know, your career path, something that you chose to do. So yeah, I guess that's one of the challenges I had that time. Yeah. Okay,
any other challenge apart from them?
Well, yeah, I mean, this whole journey of learning is not easy. There are times you feel like you kind of give up, but you try to look for an easier route, you know, where the money is. Sometimes, you know how design is developing currently in Rwanda. Maybe in a few years it wasn't the same, and you know, coding developers were needed, still are. but you'll be like you're getting more gigs as a dev, but not as a designer and stuff. So that time it wasn't really encouraging. So I had to surround myself with people who appreciate design, and especially in school. And Ines, my friend, so she used to do design. She's a graphic. I mean, she still does. So I guess I used to get inspired. But if you don't take that first step to actually look for those people, you just end up, going the easier way, the quickest way. So I feel like that was a challenge to surround myself with those people who pushed me. And but the main one was the first one I talked about. That was really challenging.
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
And by the way, have you ever done graphic design? Because I realized most of the product designers start as graphic designers and then later they transition.
I didn't start as a graphic designer, no. I started as a technical person, just coding. But I did study art back in school when I was in Uganda, because that's what I did part of my high school. We used to have art, and I would just draw, but not real graphic design like as a professional, Yeah.
Amazing. What is your design process like from the point you get the idea up to the final product being used by users?
So it's a bit straightforward actually, because you get this idea and now you start your discovery phase where like you start to figure out what is the problem, what is this idea all about, And if it's something that is already existing, you need to first figure out why is this not working currently, or if it's working, what can we improve? So if it's totally new, you first discover, you get these requirements, and if you don't, create your own requirements.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah, but I guess in a way, currently where I'm working, we always have everything, ready for us to just start working. You start figuring out what the user flow is going to be about before you jump into any wireframes. You need to create some personas, like just to make sense of who you're trying to design for, like the problems, who has those problems, and how are you targeting those pain points. And then after the user flow, then you jump to the wireframes.
Okay.
Yeah, so obviously with the user flows, you need someone to review, especially the people, the stakeholders. And then also, because you need to test them with the business requirements as well. And you also need to know if these things are feasible beforehand. So I guess in a way, one thing that I've missed, which is very important before you start everything, that kickoff meeting with everyone involved that you're gonna be working with, it really matters. Yeah, so that's when we get these requirements. So moving fast forward, then you move to the wireframes, work on the wireframes, get them reviewed, because every stage you need to review. Yeah, and then get feedback. And then after the wireframes are finalized, then you jump to the UI design, and then once that's done, then the cool part that I enjoy, prototyping. Yeah, and you start prototyping, and then now you start, testing with the people you're, trying to solve this issue for, like the customers, and you start testing your prototypes with them, get feedback from there, because there is usually a lot of feedback there, and then see how to do it better. Yeah, so it's a progressive process. You need to review as well.
Okay. Oh, that's a long process. So do you think it's a good idea to follow all the steps, or sometimes you can just
rules are there for a reason. You gotta be disciplined when you're doing these things, because at the end of the day, you're doing all these things for someone out there, and you need to follow all this. Sometimes we take the easier way out, but then that's when now you start doing all these revisions and then redoing things, It sounds long, but you will find that you don't spend a long time working on so many things, because you understand what you're doing, you know what's coming up next, you know what you have to do to get these things done. So yeah, I feel like the process is there for a reason, and it's very humbling sometimes. Yeah.
All right. So speaking of product design tests, so how do you do it? Like, how do you know that what you've designed is satisfying the user needs?
Yeah, we get it from the test when you're testing. Sometimes you see a user how they're interacting with your prototype. If they're really confused, now there is a problem that you need to solve, right?
Okay, yeah.
Or they start asking questions. Okay, so I'm not seeing what you're asking me to do. You get a lot of feedback from there, and you try to make it seem as though it's not an exam for them. Like they have all the power right now, and you just being a spectator to see how they're interacting, because that's how they will be interacting with your product anyways. So you get from the first expressions, how they're interacting, the questions they ask, and you try to never make them feel as though they're doing something wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just have this room as though, I did something for you, so what do you think? And I just let them, I don't know how to call it, but I just...
Okay, it's all about being like feedback oriented.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Okay. So what do you do if, like, let's say you've spent like weeks working on a core product, and then at the end of the day, the client says, these designs are shitty?
Shit is an interesting word. I feel like all feedback is good feedback, regardless of the form it comes in or the choice of words. For a designer, you need to, be open to feedback.
Okay.
So when someone says the designs, they don't meet my expectations, you gotta understand why they have concluded that way, because there has to be a reason. And I guess that's where you start from to actually meet their needs. So I have had experienced that before. So I guess by the time that happened to me, I got a little bit emotional, because it was, I didn't see it coming, because you're working on these things, you're reviewing, and they're okay with it, and then finally when something is done, that's when now they remember something, but the way they communicated it was really a bit disrespectful. So I was still beginning that time, like I was still a beginner, and I was like, wow, interesting, But now when I look back, I guess how you talk to them also has a lot to do with, how they talk back. You just have to be respectful and also professional. So you need to understand, where is this coming from, and okay, what do you think would you need to be done better? And if they don't know, at least you need to understand their reason, and then now try to figure that out. Just try to crack that puzzle.
Okay.
Yeah. But keeping them involved most of the times helps, as many times as you can. So at least they feel like they're part of the journey. But sometimes some of the should I call them product owners? Because they're literally owners of the product. Sometimes they want to see things they don't want to be involved, some of them. You take ownership, at least once in a week doesn't, like when something is done. But if you can revise these things with them, review the designs with them as many times as you can. That sometimes solves those issues, yeah. But understanding the problem always helps for a designer, yeah.
So lastly, can you tell us like 3 sources where you get inspiration from when starting doing your designs?
Well, I do love using Behance sometimes. I have these sites I always go to if I want to get inspired. Behance, I love Pinterest. But one that I always use anytime is Instagram. There's so many things on Instagram. I think 99% of it I follow are UI UX designers, product designers, motion designers. Yeah, so there are always new tricks, and the good thing is they always explain their design decisions, so you can even comment and then get feedback, like you feel, like how Instagram is, it's personal social media, so you get a lot of inspiration from there as well. I feel like sometimes, and how people give comments, like it's the feature is there, but it's not that visible. Like you can give, it's as though when you go on Dribble, you just there to see cool stuff and all. But so yeah, I found out that on Dribble everything is there, whether it's good or bad. I feel like things are just beautified and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. But on Instagram, well, people are it's like Twitter.
You
know how people come at you.
Yeah. Listen.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much. So that was it for this episode. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any other question for Sharon, feel free to drop it under the comment section. So see you in the next episode.